Andre Gonzalez, welcome to the Rocky Mountain Writer Podcast.
Hello, Mark. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, welcome back. I guess I should say you were on earlier with a bunch of the finalists before you were named Independent Writer of the Year this summer. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. It's been a fun ride and a huge honor for sure.
Well, you've put in so much work and just your dedication is so obvious to anybody who follows you, just the sheer, not just going by volume, but you can just tell you have a plan and you are pursuing it.
Yes, that's it's probably the best way to put it. It's how I feel, at least.
Yeah. So let's get a lot to talk about. I want to touch on obviously a huge moment in your life that led to you really bearing down on writing. And we'll get to that real quick, but you have some recent news with completing a brand new novel, number 15, I believe.
That is correct. The book is called Followed Away. It is the third and final book of my Exiles Attacks trilogy. So yeah, if you're into alien invasions in Denver or aliens in general, I guess definitely something to check out.
How many worlds do you have going? How many different series are underway right now?
As far as underway, just one.
Okay.
Because this actually, like I said, finished this
Okay.
trilogy. So that's one. And then I have my Insanity trilogy, which is also done. And then I recently finished my Wealth of Time series, which was 6 books, and that is done. So my next project is actually a spin-off of the Wealth of Time series. So it's going to take place within that same universe and have some familiar characters from the existing series.
What is that universe?
So that's my time travel universe. So I should say for the new series, it's going to be very focused on main characters going back in time to, solve, cold case murders, things like that. So it's going to have a little more of a mystery twist as well, to go with the time travel and action.
Hmm. And the time travel is all Earth based?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, most of my books are all in Denver as well. So,
Okay.
or at least in Colorado, I should say.
Yeah. So again, just to recap, 6 books in I'm sorry, what's the name of that series?
Wealth of Time.
Wealth of Time. The trilogy is complete.
Yep, Exiles Attacks, and then Insanity is the other trilogy.
Yeah. And no spin-off plans there at all.
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. And are you building any other worlds for future writing in your head?
Well, aside from that, I do have another series that I co-wrote with Audrey Bryce, Stephanie Reisner, as you might know her. We co-wrote a slasher series, very fun, and that's going to be out in 2 weeks. So another release in 2 weeks from today, completing that trilogy. And that's just typical, small mountain town stalker, slasher, killer. So very Halloween type setting.
Wow. I guess, one question I have is how do you keep this straight? You've got a lot of worlds, even though you've closed down some. What does your day look like to keep all this kind of going? You've got a lot of forward momentum going all the time.
Yes, I have. So lots of sticky notes and lists all over the place. And then the same for lots of spreadsheets as well, which is where I do more of my organization. My sticky notes is more where I just jot down ideas and they're there. But then once I really buckle down to start writing or start planning out a series, then it's all in the spreadsheets, a lot of which my wife helps build. She's more in tune with that sort of things. So she helps me stay organized as well by creating my spreadsheets. So I know how to just sort of plug things in and know how to go back and reference things pretty easily.
So you bounce ideas off her and are describing ideas you have, worlds you want to build, characters, etc.
Oh yeah, she's definitely vetoed some ideas from time to time, but for the most part, she thinks that most are worth pursuing.
Yeah. Give us an idea of your schedule, your day. What does it look like writing wise?
So I still have a day job, so I'm not doing this full time quite yet. Fortunately, I have a pretty flexible job. So I'm usually doing my day job from, I don't know, I'd say from 8 to noon every day. And then I'll have an hour for lunch, and then in the afternoons are all dedicated to writing. I'll set aside maybe an hour or so to try to knock out 1,000 words a day. And then the next hour of editing another project. And then my last hour sort of focused on marketing, checking my Facebook ads, Amazon ads, running numbers there, seeing what's working, what's not working, and make adjustments from there. So it's really, I'd say probably three solid hours of my day are focused exclusively on writing. And then, nighttime when the kids are bed, I might maybe spend another hour just cleaning up little tasks, little clerical things to do on my to-do list.
Yeah. Wow. So it sounds like you're pretty careful about it. An hour of writing, an hour of editing. You really,
Yeah, I need some structure, or else, I'll just, well, before I gave myself that sort of schedule is I would sit down for writing, and then that's all I would do for the 3 hours. And then everything else just sort of piled up in the background.
Yeah. As you've gone on, I assume that the 1,000 words a day, the quality of those 1,000 words a day is, I hope you're seeing that it's getting better.
Definitely. I'd say the quality is getting better. The, I don't know, just the ease of getting those 1,000 words out becomes easier each time as well. I'll probably stay in that range. It's sort of my sweet spot until I do get to eventually do this full time. Then of course that's going to be a whole other, re-evaluation of what my day should look like.
Right. Boy, I mean, the marketing hour is something I personally puzzle over all the time, is how much to invest my own time and also dollars in those advertising campaigns. I've definitely done some Amazon campaigns, and a while ago, way back, did some Facebook attempts, but I would say it's piecemeal and not very well thought out. What is your approach, and can you kind of share some numbers? Do you have a budget set aside? How do you work it?
I don't really start off with a set budget. And I should go back to last summer. I think it was July, when I really just buckled down. I said, you know what, I think I put writing aside for a month, said I'm going to focus exclusively on marketing, taking Mark Dawson's ads for authors courses, just learning everything I could, and then just start experimenting. So I jumped in. I started small, $5 a day with Facebook ads, same on Amazon. And then, as I find things that work, things that are bringing in money, what's sucking money and not bringing anything back, that sort of, refining from there, doubling down on what's working and getting rid of what's not. So up to today, right now, I'm spending about $45 a day on ads, but I'm still doing the same thing. I'm still very much, I think, in a testing phase. And I think the testing just comes a little faster now when you have a bigger budget. But for me, as long as I'm not losing money, which I have not been since I've increased my spend, I'm increasing where I can and as I go along.
And you're seeing your audience grow.
Yeah, the audience is growing. The sales are coming in a lot steadier. My page reads, because I am exclusive to Amazon and Kindle Unlimited, my page reads they're really, so I'm seeing the results.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm just completely mystified by the Amazon, the Q&A they take you through to set up an ad. It just seems like there's so many variables, negative keywords, all these different things that are just strange concepts. Do you have any basic formula or tips or suggestions? Maybe there is a course or a video out there that you really believe in or follow?
Yeah, there's a couple. So if anyone is enrolled in the Mark Dawson course, he does have a course dedicated to Amazon, and at a high level as well. He's doing things I'm still trying to learn. And then also there's Brian Cohen. He runs a workshop. I think he does it every couple months or so, where you can just sign up for free. And that really shows you through the basics on, picking what keywords you should be talking, and then sort of how to refine it from there. And like I mentioned, this is like anything else, even for the writing side, it's all spreadsheets for me. So I do have spreadsheets where I track all my, words that I want to test, keywords that have been tested, And then I do have columns. I'll use negative keywords, things that suck a lot of money out budget, yet do not bring any sales. It's very clear. You may have a keyword that spent $20. It's showing 0 sales, 0 page reads, clicked on 100 times sort of thing. That's something to put on your negative. Whereas the flip side, if you have something maybe spent $10 on a keyword and you're seeing, oh, it's brought me 10 sales, 10,000 page reads. Well, now that's going on a special list where I'm then going to run a new ad with all my keywords that have been bringing in sales. Now I have a new ad that's just running keywords that I know have been proven to work.
Wow. And that does take time to sit there and look through the analytics, right?
Yeah. I mean, on top of letting the ads run, I let them run. They say 2 weeks. I like to do at least 3 to 4 weeks. And then I'll go evaluate what's been working from that group. And then, like I said, kind of toss those out, keep what's been good, put on the negative list what's been bad, and then just do it again with a new batch of keywords. So it's a slow process with Amazon ads, that's for sure. It takes months to really get something going.
Yeah. And like you said, you're Amazon only. So you do print on demand books through Amazon. You do Kindle. Obviously, you've already mentioned that.
Correct.
Yeah. Any audiobooks for any of your titles?
I do. So Wealth of Time is my focus right now because it is my best-selling series. Book 4 of that series is currently in production. So the first 3 are out on audio. And then like my first in series for my others are on audio as well. And then Snowball, my standalone Christmas horror story, is on audio also. So I have a few.
Are you doing those through ACX?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's a pretty cool platform, the way they do that.
It is, yeah. So I should say I use ACX to find my narrators and work with them. And then I am wide with my audiobooks. So those are not exclusive to Audible. But I'm able to get the files through ACX to upload it into Findaway Voices to distribute wide.
I didn't know you could take an ACX audio file and use that for a wider. That's awesome. Yeah, terrific.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and must be happy with your narrator.
Yeah. Russell Archie, he's the one who's done my Wealth of Time series. Connected with him actually through a friend, wasn't through ACX directly. But yeah, he's been great. I know he recently got to quit his job and narrate full time and built a studio backyard. He's taken things to the next level as well.
That's great. Are you getting close to where you think you can write full time? Is the day job something you enjoy anyway and you don't really care, or, where are you?
I have a great day job. It's very, very flexible. I can really weave it into my day as needed. I do want to write full time. That is my very much, ever since I was little, it's what I want to be, just a professional writer. And I'm well on my way. This has definitely been my best year financially. I took advantage of 20 and a lot of the downtime to just write a lot. So I have a lot of content. And then, like I mentioned, focus on marketing. Really kind of put myself through school in a sense. So yeah, I mean, just looking at my trajectory with the way numbers are going, I think I can be at that point probably within the next.
I missed it. Probably within the next how far?
Next 2 years or so.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Terrific. When with a family, you mentioned you got a family, so you have responsibilities.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That'll be the leap to make that transition. You just follow the numbers and hopefully they hold steady.
Yeah. And part of that does appear to be, in this day and age, having series. People get going, they like to keep going, and they want more. So
yeah, we're definitely in a society that loves to binge. I mean, if you look at anything that people watch, it's always, oh, I'm going to binge this. And that's starting to translate into books as well. People want to binge a series or binge. It's very big in audio. People love to binge listen as well. And then just the author, it's just more cost effective, just basic numbers. You can market book 1 of a series and that's all you have to market to. The rest will just sell themselves, assuming people like book, compared to trying to market a standalone. You can still turn a profit, but you don't have that that sort of carryover sales at that point.
Right, right, right. Wow. Well, you mentioned earlier that you've always wanted to be a writer, that was a childhood dream. And I think I've seen on some bios that you read a lot of Stephen King and Dean Koontz and, all that.
Yes.
But then came a moment that galvanized, altered, changed your focus, which was the Aurora Theater shooting. And the fact that you were in that theater, which I even have a hard time saying that and knowing I'm talking to somebody who was in there. Can you just tell us about that, the relevant parts without, I don't want to re-victimize you. I want to respect, anything you want to talk about, and I don't want to drag you through stuff you don't want to go through. But, it is something I think that other writers who might not be as focused, they don't have to go through that to realize that they are in control of their time, and we only get so many hours a day.
Right.
And it's a choice we make about how we're going to spend our time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, without going into details of that night, we all know what happened. That night was one of those eye-opening experiences in life, really what it boils down to. 22 at the time, when that happened. And, it may sound weird. I feel very blessed to have through that. I'm sure there's probably a more way to put that, but I don't know. I'm grateful that I was able to survive. I'm out with just a fresh perspective on life at such an early, that later that year I got engaged, because my girlfriend at the time, my wife, she was with me that night. And, we've had lots of conversation, just how like life really is fragile. And I don't think peace, how quick can just end. And, for me, I would not want my life to end without knowing I tried to do everything I wanted to do. And I was in a very fun, cushy job, one of those tech companies that you hear about with, booze in the kitchen and the ping pong, all that stuff. So I was young, out of college, and just loving life. I wasn't even thinking about writing or dreams. I'll get to that. I'm gonna just have right now. But then this tragedy struck, and it shifted all that perspective. It's like, do I really want to spend the next, 10 years of my life just, clocking in and out with corporate America, and actually buckle down and pursue my lifelong dream? And that's really been the driving force for me, me all the time. How do you stay so productive? How do you get so, and it's not so much, I wouldn't say I have like an extra level of motive, but there's definitely a driving force me where, I don't know, if I took a day writing, I would feel guilty about not having at least contributed again towards that goal for that day. They would feel like a day in my book. And after living something through that, you don't want to waste any days in life.
So that moment kind of just put your dreams and just brought them back front and center and just recrystallized what really mattered to you.
Exactly.
Wow.
After that, we got engaged, planned our wedding, went through all that fun stuff in life. And then once we were married, it's, both of us, sit down and let's buckle down on our dreams. Let's focus on it. And we've been focused on it since then. 24 has been all about books and our own publishing house from that, which my wife helps me run. So that's still every day today, to do to further enhance it just a little bit.
So you run a publishing house in addition to producing your own titles?
Yeah, which my titles published, plus my co-author series as well. And we do have another author as we've published one book for. But yeah, that's something, it's not necessarily on our radar right now, publishing a bunch of other authors, but if opportunity arises, we want to be ready. It's another reason I'm really focused on the marketing side of the opportunity does rise. I can approach an author and be like, know how to market books. I think your book would be a great fit for what I know, what we can bring to the table. So yeah, just being ready more on the business front of side things there.
Right. Wow. I can get, is she working full time with you on the publishing, or does she have another day job as well?
No, she has a day job as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
She's an actual engineer, so she's a brainiac. But she does a lot for us on the social side. She's like recently helped convert all of hers into the new hardback option that's on Amazon. So she does a lot of that. I don't consider at least like clerical work, the non-writing, the non-marketing, but is all still part of big picture there.
It's time consuming, that stuff, and it's just so detail
Yeah.
oriented. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and fun doing it too. It's unlike me. When I had that stuff on my to-do list, my goodness, I dreaded it. But she enjoys it.
Yeah. That's great. Wow. So yeah, looking back, obviously you probably think to yourself, the 15 books would not be in front of you as with your name on them had that day not happened.
Yeah, that's a scary thought I think about sometimes is if that never happened, what would I be doing today? I don't know if I would even have one book written, let alone um so yeah, it was definitely, I don't know, just the biggest turning point in life by far. And I'm very happy about the road that it ended up putting me on.
Yeah. What are writing fantasy and, well, I shouldn't categorize you. You write fantasy, science fiction, horror. What else? Am I
Sci-fi, horror, the time travel is more action adventure.
okay? So, do you find yourself pulling from what you see around you in the world today? Is that a source of inspiration? And or are you making commentary on what you see in the world today? Is there an element there, or are these simply, not, I don't mean this in any negative way at all, but are these escapist? Is it escapist fiction?
No, I don't think that's negative at all, Mark. I think we all need escapism in our life. And I would say my books do focus more on escapism. I want you to escape our real world, fall into another one, have a good time. But that's not to say I'm not necessarily addressing the issues of the world in my writing, but I don't know, I'm a people observer. I like to see how people are in the world in different situations. So what I do try to bring to the table is a lot of realism to the characters in that sense. How do people react when they encounter hardships or racism or poverty, whatever it may be? How do people react? So I'm always the quiet one in the back of the room, just watching how people interact and then really soaking that in to bring it to life through characters.
How do you bring freshness every day when you put that kind of word count goal in your mind? How do you keep it fresh?
For me, just keeping my brain fresh to be able to write is having escapism of my own. I still read Stephen King and Dean Koontz. I'm in a good spot now where I can read a book and then also listen to an audiobook and then, watch TV shows at night, sort of thing. So it's really, really just unplugging my brain when it's time to unplug. That way I'm just refreshed and not, I may be thinking about stories all the time, but I'm not necessarily thinking about the writing all the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. I'm just kind of curious, random question here. When you look at your kids and talking to them about goals and dreams and, having a plan, how does what you've been through and what you've experienced in the changes in your own life, do you purposely try to impart some of that to them, or are you going to let them kind of discover these kinds of things on their own?
Oh no, I would say my kids are very lucky to have us as their parents because we are very, very pro oh, chase your dreams, do it all the time, think about how you can do to get your dream. I mean, they're still very young. My oldest is going to turn 7 next month, but she's starting to come to that age where she thinks about her future and things she might want to do. So it's very fun to just sit down with them and just, be that very positive. There's a lot of people out there who always say, oh, yeah, you want to do this? Cool. That probably never happen. Those are words that would never come out of my mouth. I believe if you want to do something, you just have to find the way to do it, and you can make that happen.
Yeah, that's great. And we know kids pick up on positive messages or negative messages from the parents in terms of what kind of world are they in, and are there limits or are there no limits? That's
Right.
pretty basic. Yeah. Very cool. And how old's your other one then?
So we have, about to be 7, about to be 5, and then our youngest just turned 2.
Oh, okay. So you got your hands full.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Wow. Very cool. Well, without giving away too much, care to give us a preview of what you're going to talk about when you give your speech at Colorado Gold here in a few weeks?
I haven't started writing it yet. It's been a lot of brainstorming in my head. How do I want to approach it? And honestly, I think I'm going to talk a lot about that night and just, sort of the path that set me on. Probably going into a lot more detail, not necessarily about in the theater, but, the events leading up to that night, and then sort of the turning point and how things change from there going forward.
Yeah. Well, what does being named Independent Writer of the Year mean to you?
Oh, I don't know, Mark. It still doesn't even feel real. My wife hung the plaque I received at the summer event right next to my desk in our office. And I'll glance over at it every day, and it's like, wow, I can't believe that's my name on there. And then, I still have moments where I come back, to that night of the shooting and think, I can't believe I survived that event and that this is what has come from that. So I don't know. It's very humbling. It's very honoring, especially coming from my fellow authors. There's no greater, in my book, at least, no greater gesture than to be voted Writer of the Year from other writers. So thank you to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, right up there. You can't quite see it, but
Yeah.
2016. But it means so much to me. Absolutely. Yeah, it's just such a great organization, and it is just a wonderful recognition for sure. So congratulations. Very
Yes,
cool.
definitely. And yeah, speaking to RMFW as well, it's you mentioned 2016. That's when I joined RMFW. I was sitting there. I think it was still weeks before I published book number 1. Very, very raw, very fresh. I had no idea what anything was going on. And I owe a lot as well to RMFW for both, all the content they've provided over the years, but more importantly, the relationships that come out of being within the organization. That's also a big game changer. Is you have to meet people in this industry if you really want to succeed and do well.
So true. So true. Are you giving any workshops at Colorado Gold?
Yes, I am running one on Bookbub featured deals. So how to increase your odds of landing one, and then what to do if you do land one. Because I think it's 4 or 5. I'd have to double check.
They're huge. They're huge.
Yeah, they are. They always elevate your career kind of just to the next level a little bit.
Game changers. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm doing that one. And then I'm also doing another one with Bernadette Marie on writing a series. And that's going to be focused more for beginners who want to know how to really plan out and plot a series.
Fantastic. Wow, that's great. I'm sure you're looking forward to being there as much as I am. And
Definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Andre, as we wrap up here, and thank you so much. We always like to give our guests a chance to mention a book that you just may have read, or some really important book in your life, or maybe it's just suggest an author that RMFW folks should go out there and check out.
Yeah. Whenever I get the opportunity to promote RMFW writer, I love to do that. So recently I read TH, he goes by Todd. within our organization. So check him out. He writes a lot of sci-fi, fantasy as well. The first book main series is called The Burning Sun, which I had read earlier this summer. Great read, great guy. So be sure to check that out. T.H. Leatherman is the pen name that's under.
Right. It's been a while since we've had him on the podcast, but he is a blast and also very funny to follow on social media as well. Yeah. Really cool.
Word puns. So definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't like puns, stay away. It's bad.
Right.
It's really bad. Andre, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
All right. Sounds good, Mark. Thanks for having me on.